Hello, we're back. I'm Joanna Universal Strategy Director here with my next guest, Simon Clowes, who's the Managing Creative Director at Apple. We're very pleased to have you here with us. I know it's the second day of Imagination Day. Hope you enjoyed yesterday's talks.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure for us to have you here. And then basically, I want to ask you a few questions based on your presentation. So some of the listeners who are going to watch this recap probably didn't have the chance to see the whole presentation. So if you could just in like a small wrap up tell the listeners what was your key takeaway from your presentation, or what was the aim of your presentation?
I think, to be honest, it was about the ability for all of us to be able to think. And as technology is evolving, as it has been in the past, but I think now it's evolving even more exponentially, there could be like a fear around how we might be displaced. And I think at the core, at least through my own creative journey, there's always been this emphasis on the ability to think and values placed on thinking. Being able to think conceptually is something that really helped me in my career when I didn't have, let's say, the software skill set, but I was able to think and come up with ideas. And so I think that's the main takeaway for me, is to always know that we have this ability to access infinite ideas, and that technology really is right now, at least for now, is referencing us and referencing our human experience. But we're the ones that actually have that experience, and it's unique for every single one of us. Right? And thinking about the nuances of that.
Exactly, because I was just thinking that basically, obviously, the what AI taps into is stories that have been told already.
Correct.
So it's not nothing. It's not new original stories. It's
Yeah.
something that has been based on the fact that
Based
it's been already told.
Yeah, based on the inputs. And our inputs, I believe, come from the source. And so if we're able to access those, then it becomes infinite.
But Simon, would you say, because you mentioned time, you mentioned thinking, but I just wanted to kind of come back because thinking, especially having the time to think, I think, especially in advertising agencies, is a luxury, and we don't have that luxury. So how would you say? What would be your advice when we are scrutinized to come up with a fast result and hence tapping into AI and not having the luxury to have the time?
I think that it's gonna, to your point, when you don't have the time, you can use AI as a soundboard. I think as an assistant to help you generate things faster, get your thoughts out, try and maybe validate your ideas based on some responses. But I mean, how did we used to do it without machine learning or AI? I think we used to stay up late, right?
True.
We used to
Red
go
Bulls.
through that pain that I was talking about in the presentation and go through resistance. And so I think we still have to be able to experience that, because as I was mentioning, it's through that resistance that we're able to achieve greater things. And you know that feeling, of course, right? When you actually go through that pain and you're able to then come up with an idea or come up with some content, some written content or poetry or whatever it might be, there's a feeling, there's this great feeling of success when you're able to do that. And it might be at 4 o'clock in the morning, or it might be when you're exhausted. So I don't think that will ever be or should fully be replaced. But I do think we absolutely have to be exploring and experimenting with new technology, because everyone around us is going to be doing that too. So it gives you a competitive edge, definitely, but still understand that we do have these abilities, and I think don't hand everything off.
Uh, just because I was touched by the part in your presentation when you spoke about your obsession with your design guru
Yeah.
and taking the time to really analyze, understand, take the time. And I think I'm worried that I'm seeing, especially in the kind of younger younger counterparts in our industry, that they want to get to a success really quickly.
Yeah.
And I feel like the word obsessive became quite negative
Yes.
instead of positive.
Yeah. I saw that happen. Yeah. 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 But I think, do you go to the library anymore?
No.
No, right? We don't need to do that. We can now search the web. But if you remember, you would go to the library, you would find a book, you would have to flick through that book to find the page or find the information that you were looking for. But on the journey to find that page with the information that was your answer, you would maybe learn other things because you're flicking through other content. You might find another book in the library when
That
you
would
went
spark
there,
your.
right? So then something else might interest you over here. And I think now we can get these immediate answers, and maybe you don't have to necessarily obsess as much. But again, like the answer to the question, it's important that we don't lose sight of that. It's important that we learn how to do things, that we do go frame by frame, uh, look frame by frame into sequences and understand and try to figure out how something was made and how it was constructed, because there's a beauty in that. And you can actually find mistakes in, I think, everyone's work, my work, the greats. There's still imperfections in that. So again, incorporate, but try not to lose sight, right?
Completely agree. Okay, I wanted to ask, how do you create an environment where your team feels empowered to take risks and innovate?
That's a great question. Um, I believe that creating that environment there needs to be an environment of safety.
We've heard that today,
Yeah.
yes.
So creatives need to feel safe to make mistakes. And so there's pressure, obviously. I mean, coming up with ideas and executing on ideas, there's a lot of pressure to do that, especially as you were saying in your first question, is, with time. We don't have much time. There's extreme pressure to perform, probably more pressure now than there was before. There's a lot more competition. And so, in my opinion, creating a safe space and being okay with mistakes and being able to guide your creatives is like number one, I think, for me, because everybody comes into a situation, whether it's a big corporation or a small design shop, we come in with our insecurities of performance. Where we've been is not the same as where we are now. And so if you now come into some kind of situation where there's overt pressure, you may not be able to ever come up with ideas anyway, right? So that's what I think. Yeah, safety. Yeah.
Um, so I love that in your presentation you kind of showed your bio and you spoke
Mm,
about past experiences that shaped you.
mm.
So basically, I wanted to ask if you could share one piece of advice with your younger self starting at Central St. Martin's, what would it be?
That's another really good.
Nailing it.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Um, I think it would be, don't be afraid to take the risks, and don't be afraid, especially in your early 20s, to work and work really hard, and try to have a vision of yourself and figure out what you want to do as early as possible and hold on to that. Because as I was explaining, there are people that may not believe that you have the ability to do that. And so if anybody kind of shows some disbelief or tries to knock you off your path, don't worry about any of that, because it's what you hold inside of you, that compass I was referring to, that actually can guide you or will guide you to where you're supposed to be. So kind of ignore the noise. Yeah.
That's actually in today's world, that's something that I would love to close off with Simon and say, yes, there's a lot of pressure, we're trying all to be perfect. I think one of the speakers are going to talk today about also the being imperfect in the perfect world. So thank you, Simon, for taking the time. I know it's been it's been a roller coaster for the last 2 days. So hopefully you'll have the time to now lay back and enjoy the rest of the day. So thank you so
No,
much.
thank you. Thank you for the invitation to be here. Love Poland. Warsaw has been treating me extremely well, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Warsaw also nailed it.
Yeah,
Thank you,
absolutely.
Simon.
Thank you.